Perfect. So we on now. Welcome back to another episode of the Jay Youngblood Experience. Today I have Joshua Norris, who I grew up with,
Joshua, the
knew him
full
for a
name.
very,
Illegal.
very long time. How you been, bro?
Been good, man. Been good. Been out here in Houston, loving it, man. Been working. Same old as usual, man. Got to keep pushing.
Absolutely. So, Josh, I may be saying this wrong, but so this man started off doing a lot of different things. I mean, where you were gaming at one point. Am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong or right.
Yeah, that's kind of funny, bro. That's a lot of the skills I learned that helped me now get to where I was. Really came from gaming, actually, like
Yeah.
video editing, all that stuff.
I remember you had the full monitor, everything set up. We were like, "Where the hell is Josh?" Oh, Josh is upstairs playing on the computer, and everybody,
100%.
at that time there wasn't a lot of what you're doing now out there. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people were like, "Okay, just go get a job, do this," and you worked at UPS, you did your fucking thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people weren't seeing it the same way you saw it.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
when did you realize that there was a market for the stuff you're doing now? And explain what you're doing now for the people who don't understand what who you are
Yeah,
and
I'll kind
everything.
of run down what I do now and then kind of how I got back
Hmm.
into it. So originally started a consulting company as my first company that really did well. Scaled that up multiple six figures per year. And really with it, it was more of like helping brands, businesses, entrepreneurs just grow on social media. And mainly we did it through YouTube. That's kind of
Yeah.
how I distinguish myself. So there's a guy named Alex Ramosi. Maybe you know who he is. Maybe people
Hmm.
listening probably know who he is. Really good business advice. So I heard about him several years ago when he really wasn't too big. He was still just running his companies mainly.
Yeah.
And from that, he learned about like offer creation, like how to create like such a good offer that people just have no problem saying yes to it essentially. So I went into a space where people were growing on Instagram. People had massive brands. They were spending tons of money on content, but nobody did anything with YouTube. Nobody really touched it. That's where I really kind of went down and started like investing into YouTube, understanding the algorithms. And then I really got a channel going just myself, just to try to test it out. Cause I'm a huge fan of like do it first before you ever try to sell it as a service.
DIY.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to kind of prove the concept with yourself. So I did it myself, crushed it with it. I grew actually a channel from zero to 100,000 subscribers in 58 days. We got 178 million views organically, crushed it. Then I instantly went, pitched it to a ton of people through just Instagram DMs, cold messaging, the whole 9 yards, and got a ton of clients from it. And then that just compound and compound and compound. So it's kind of my first company. It's kind of how I got started. But originally, everything kind of stemmed from gaming, bro. I mean, you've obviously known the backstory, but I've been gaming since I was like, I don't even know, like maybe like nine, eight,
Yeah.
nine, give or
Yeah.
take. And then yeah, like around like 2012, gaming was still like one of those things where like people were like a closet gamer. People didn't like to be known or associated as a gamer or anything like that. And then obviously around 2018, 2019, stuff like that became pretty popular. Now all the kids want to be gamers, they want to be streamers, YouTubers, etc. So I was just kind of on the basically early grind of it, man. Just kind of
Yeah.
learned some skills early on, and that whole community was really big on like video editing, graphic design, all that stuff. So when I started my own companies, I was able to edit my own content. I was able to do my own logos, my websites, everything, just because I learned those skills when I was 12 years old, playing video games just for fun. It now translated into my business and really helped me elevate because that's tons of money you'd be spending up front to really get a business going. But now I know the skills, so
For
pretty good
sure.
start to it.
Yeah, and then going through your Instagram, a lot of people will look at him like, "Damn, this dude's really successful. He's doing this, doing that." But a lot of people don't see the grind that came behind that. So, what did that look like whenever you started getting everything, with your startups and whatever?
Yes, I mean, originally, I always enjoyed being pretty independent growing up. So naturally for me, I remember when I was like 14, 15 years old, I was already like wanting to get a job just so I could save up, buy cameras, buy different things I could do. Not even for the aspect of like going out or hanging out with friends or going out to eat. It was just strictly for like buying shit that I can like
Yeah.
get for like content or whatever it is. That's really kind of how I had like the early motivation to want to do stuff for it. And yeah, the earlier days were definitely more of a time suck for sure, but you kind of have to go through that in any stage. So for me, it was more of like as soon as I turned 16, got a job at Dairy Queen, worked there. I actually enjoyed it, man. I really loved it. It was kind of a fun job. Had all my friends working there from high
Yeah.
school. So we kind of just showed up, hung out, made some money. And then from there, took that money, started investing it back into my skill set, investing into different equipment. And then from there, grew up a little bit more. Obviously, graduated high school, got a job at UPS working there. So I'd work from UPS till from 4 in the morning to about like 1 in the afternoon, maybe 2 in the afternoon some days. Finish that and then start just trying to work on business. So I was just
Yeah.
really, really just cranking it out, doing long days. And then things really shifted I want to say maybe like 8 months after I had that job, I met some guys in Atlanta just through social media, just making connects. Don't even remember how I kind of came across them. This guy named Will and a guy named Drew. And so I started talking with them a good amount. They were doing social media marketing. I was like, I've heard of this, heard about people making money through Ty Lopez, different guys, but I'd never seen it in person. And so
Yeah,
that's one of the biggest things I think people have a problem with is like limiting beliefs. So you don't really know what's possible till you see somebody you know doing it, then you know what's possible. Because anybody can see somebody
absolutely.
online, some 12-year-old kid making 500 grand a month, and you're like, yeah, that's not true. That's not real. But if you see that kid actually in person, you see he's actually doing it, you saw the backstory, then it becomes more tangible because you're around it. So I messaged those guys and I was like, yo, look, I know how to do graphic design. You guys are running companies. You guys need advertisements made, social media content, etc. I'll do it for free. Just let me be around you guys. Let me learn. So I ended up going up to Atlanta, spending some time with them every couple weekends and stuff. So I'd work all week long, save up, get some gas money, go all the way to Atlanta, stay there, be there from like 8 a.m. in the morning till probably like midnight, then drive all the way back 2 hours back to Augusta, and then do it the next day as well. So grinded out for a while, and then they invited me to move in with them. Kind of the rest is history, man. Just putting in 14, 15, 16 hour days for like a year and a half straight to get here. So not too bad though.
And what did them weekends look like? So whenever you're going to Atlanta, whenever you were starting off and whatever, and you said you were doing it for free just so you can get in
Yeah,
with the guys. What
yeah.
exactly were you doing while you were there on the weekends?
Yeah, so originally when I was on the weekends, it was more just like kind of talking with them, learning a bit, and then they were like, "Hey, we need some advertisements made. Can you make these advertisements?" So I would do an exchange for it, but really just to see their day to day, learn what they're doing, how do they handle conversations when talking to prospects, how are they even getting in front of prospects, the whole 9 yards. Because I had pretty good ambition, but I didn't have much like technical knowledge on business, and
Yeah,
my biggest thing was more of like getting clients. Like, how could I get a client? So that was more like the earlier steps of it, and then that transitioned to a little bit later where after I did it for a while, I started talking to them. I was like, yo, look, I really want to work with you guys. Can we make something work out? I'm debating on going into the military. Like, I really had no route on what I wanted to go yet. And they were like, look, dude, if you want to come up here, you can live, sleep on our couch for as long as you want to, or as long as we had the lease here, just sleep on the couch. You can have your little area over there and all that stuff. And you can just do that. And in exchange for it, I'll just work for both their companies because they had two separate companies as well. So I would
yeah,
just work for both their companies. So in the morning time, one of the guys named Drew, he was more of an early bird guy. I worked on his company. It's called Pets Project. It was more of a pet CBD type of product. And me and him, I would work with them from probably like 8:30, 9 a.m. in the morning to around like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. And then from around there, we eat a little bit, hang out a good bit. And then I would work on my stuff from like 7 p.m. to like midnight. But then my homie Will, the other roommate, he had his own company. He was scaling as well. And he's a night owl like me. So then he'd be like, yo, do you want to go to this office space that I have? And we'll go work there. So I would go from like midnight to like 3, maybe 4 in the morning sometimes, and then work that as well. So I mean, we're putting in 16-hour days for like a year straight though to get to where I'm at.
so you would wake up and do the same thing the next day, just
Same thing
over
the
and
next day,
over
same
and
thing the
over.
next day. A lot of it's just like self education, man. I mean, like to be honest, anything anybody wants to do, relatively, unless you want to be like a doctor or a lawyer or
Yeah.
something like that, maybe you probably need to go to school. Everything else, YouTube University, man. Go on
Oh,
YouTube, you
for
can
sure.
find somebody who's posted something and you can learn it. So that's kind of my concepts. I still do that today, always learning. And yeah, same kind of process.
Yeah, bro. I've seen a lot of that nowadays where people like skipping the whole college route because everything you need
Hmm.
to, a lot of the stuff you need to know is already out there. You can get for
Yeah.
free. You know what I mean? So without giving any stuff, obviously you do this as a business. So I don't want to, force you to do anything you don't want to say or anything. But how should someone scale their business, and what is the best techniques and I guess ideas you could give to them?
So I'll give what I'm doing now. So just to get some clarity, I know we kind of talked about it a few seconds before we started
Yeah,
recording. I actually got rid of my company that I really scaled up. So scaled to multi six figures a year, crushed it with that. And also again, like we were just talking about a few minutes ago off camera, a lot of it's a time kind of thing as well. I wanted to have a lot of time available because here's one of the things that people don't understand is you can go and start making 20K, 30K, 40K a month, maybe even way higher than that. But if your time is consumed working 16-hour days, it's only a matter of time. So you're going to get burnt out. It's not feasible anymore. So
yeah,
for me, like a good sweet spot, especially when you're starting out, is like 10, 15, maybe 20K a month when you're working like 10, 15, maybe 20 hours a month max. Like those are really good time because now you have the time and the freedom to kind of do what you want. So essentially from that though, kind of got rid of my old company. Everything started kind of going more downhill in the sense of the market. So I was really, really good at being early to what I did, which again, like we talked about before, it was YouTube consulting essentially is what it was, helping brands, businesses grow. I was really early to it. So the more
yeah.
early you are to a space, to a niche, etc., you can really capitalize. So I was charging clients 3250 a month, so 3K plus per month on my package. My average retainer was 2750 a month. And I was crushing it. And the average person stayed with me around like 4 to 5 months. Very, very easy work. Again, we were talking about it about an hour per week, not per week, my bad, an hour per month per client. So like really not much of a time suck whatsoever. And it's all just knowledge base. I just went through, studied the platform, tried some stuff out, got some stuff to work, and then replicated with other people. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So when I finished that company, now what I'm doing trying to scale is really about offers. So my new company, it's in the real estate space called Lead Boost. And essentially what it is, just helping real estate agents get listings. So what I did was like, okay, where is a massive market of a lot of people? So there's like millions of real estate agents across the US and Canada. And I was like, what's the main problems they're trying to have? A lot of them want seller listings. So I went through and I spent probably 6 months before even trying anything on like working with a client. 6 months of just going through, studying the actual industry, learning what they want, learning the problems they have, the whole 9 yards to find a good offer. So one of the biggest things I'll tell people is like, it's really easy to scale if you have something people really want. Like if
Yeah.
people are begging you to actually buy your product or buy your service, scaling is very, very easy because whatever channel you're using to get those clients or customers, you just increase it. So for example, say you're emailing people to get, clients in for your business or whatever it is,
Yeah.
just now set up more email accounts, email more people. If you're running paid ads to get clients in, spend more money on ads to get more clients. So scaling is pretty easy. I think people have a problem of going through and not having a good enough product or service first, and then they try to scale and it breaks because it
Yeah.
works on a micro level, but when they get to like the big markets, it doesn't really work. So I would say the easiest way to scale is just to make sure your offer or product is good.
Absolutely. So what you're mostly saying is making sure your product is solid first before
Yeah.
even trying to entertain any type of promotions or ads for it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because even when I first did this, some test ads with the new company, like we had some really good, like the marketing side of everything crushed. Like I actually
Yeah.
had some of the best marketing I've ever done as far as like click through rates, just meaning like how many people are clicking on your ad, responding to it, scheduling calls. Amazing percentages. The cost was very, very low for me to get those compared to what I expected.
Yeah.
And so all that stuff crushed, but the offer wasn't as good as we were hoping would be. And so again, we're still kind of going back and just reevaluating the offer of how can we make this indistinguishable from everything else that's in the market so they can't compare us to anything. But also on top of that, how can I make it to where this is exactly what they want? Where if I'm talking with an agent and they tell me everything that they're having a problem with, and they're like, if I had 100 grand right now to pay you, this is what I want it to be paid for. That's what we're building the offer around. So
Yeah.
it's honestly just learning more about your offer.
And how difficult is it to find something unique that is different from what's already out there?
I think so. Actually, like what I'm learning right now, because this is a separate type of business that I'm not fully used
Yeah.
to an extent. Like there's a lot of very similar capabilities. I just happened to be in the social media space in my old business and enjoyed YouTube and just crushed it. And it was just right timing, right market.
Yeah.
And also the people I was, getting in front of had millions of dollars a year coming in, or tens of millions, maybe even some hundreds of millions coming in every single year. So for them to pay 3K per month was nothing. So honestly, I was just kind of in the right market. So now when I'm really going through, it's pretty easy to go into a market and help them out. But the easiest way to do it is just to talk to the people in the market. Like
Yeah.
if you're going over and you're like, okay, I want to make a product for mothers who just had a child. Like how can they just get used to like the work life balance of having a kid and, still having a job? You just go talk to those moms. Like if you just go and talk to them, they'll tell you what the problems are, they'll tell you what they experience, what the things they hate, and like what they're looking for in a solution. And then you just build your solution around what they said. So that's the same thing
Okay.
I'm doing now is I kind of like I looked at what was in the market. I said, okay, how can I make these offers better? And then I presented it to people and they're like, oh, your offer is pretty similar to another person's offer and theirs is a little bit cheaper. So we're just going to go with theirs. Even though I was
Yeah.
like, well, mine's more value. But the reason they didn't buy is because they saw it as more of a commodity, meaning that the price was the biggest difference between it because they're kind of similar. So for
Yeah.
me, I went back and I was like, okay, what if I just sat here and interviewed 100 agents over the next month, one to one, help them out any way I can, and just say, hey, by the way, if you were to pay me, you're not going to have to pay me anything. But if you were, what would you want that to look like? Like, what type of offer would you want? What type of help would you need? What things would you be looking for out of it? And also, what would you be looking to pay for it? So now, if I get 100 agents telling me I want this, this, and this, and I'd be willing to pay this price for it, now I know that's a proven concept that agents keep backing, saying that they want that. So now
Yeah.
when I go to run
Absolutely.
ads, the take rates can be really, really high, which means your close rate's really high, which means you make more money. So that's kind of the easiest way to really go back and really find like a good product market fit.
For sure. So tell me this: how are you finding these agents? Let's say you're in your field that you're in now, or the field you were in before. Are you just reaching out, cold DMing, cold emailing? Like, how are you finding these people?
So for the last company, I never ran paid ads. It was strictly cold DM, which also
Yeah.
meant that I had like a 96% profit margin off of it. So like it was
Wow.
all just straight going back to the bank. Which was really, really good. But again, it's one of those things of like constantly learning. Back then I really didn't know about paid ads. And I take that in like a sense, like I knew about paid ads, but I never thought about running it for my offer. And then now looking back on it, I was like, dude, if I just took even like 10 grand in 1 month and ran it back into paid ads, I easily could have got like a 10x ROAS on that, which
Yeah.
basically ROAS just means return on ad spend. So if I spent $1, I get back 10. So if you spend $10,000, do the math. So naturally for it, it was going to be a really easy way for me to scale, but I didn't know it. And you're just limited by your capabilities. So that's one of the things that we kind of talked about off camera as well is like still learning, dude. Like I would say if I'm not fully booked out doing work, the rest of the time that I have available is spent learning. Like when I go to the gym, I rarely listen to music now. It's all like podcasts, all YouTube videos, educational stuff, courses, anything I can honestly have that I think is going to be beneficial to me.
Yeah.
I just learn about it, listen to it. So that's one of the easiest ways to do that as well, for sure.
Dude, you were truly grinding, bro. You were truly
I have to,
grinding,
man.
bro. I'm
Man, I
telling
just took a $400,000 a year pay cut, man. I gotta make this company do
you
better,
were
man.
truly fucking grinding. It's no, bro. I'm telling you, I have so many people on here, and just knowing people who I grew up with or I know well enough, seeing someone who is as motivated as you is so fucking good to feel, I guess. It's so
Yeah.
fucking good to feel, especially when y'all seen you from the beginning, doing your thing at Dairy Queen, UPS, having the monitors, just playing games, gaming and shit. Bro, you're fucking killing
Mhm.
it, dog. You're fucking
It's
killing it.
I appreciate it, man. It's kind of funny. Me and my mom talked about it. I mean, because you know as well, man. When I was in high school, man, I hated fucking school. I was skipping
Yes,
school, sophomore,
absolutely.
junior, senior year,
Yeah,
etc. And I'd always get grounded. So my parents would take away my computer, take away all this bullshit. And so it's kind of funny because I'm all talking about it now, understanding, especially like the gaming side of things now, even outside of business, but like the gaming world is just insane now. I was connected with
Fortnite,
all the top
man.
guys in that space though too. If anybody's familiar with gaming, like all the phase guys, all the huge popular
Yeah,
companies you see now, I was all in and basically just good friends with all those guys. And so my mom kind of tells me now, she was like, you'd be so successful in the gaming industry if I just didn't ground you so much when you were in high school. And we kind
yeah,
of have like a laugh about it now. So I
yeah,
kind
for
of tell her
sure.
she owes me a couple millions because
Yeah.
it is what it is.
No, I don't know what it was, man. I don't know if it was. It took a big leap, and I don't know if it
Yeah.
was because of Ninja or whoever it was. But whenever Fortnite came out,
Mm-hmm.
it took a big major fucking leap, and then everybody started Modern Warfare. All these different games started like copying their algorithm, however they play. Obviously I don't play video games. It's just not for me. It's not something I do. But after that, I just remember all the TikToks, all the videos. Everybody played the fucking game. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how they made it so addicting, and it was something new at the time as well.
I think it was again just right product, right time.
Yeah.
And Fortnite like had a really good mechanism in their game, and had some really popular people blow up because again it's just all like right timing, right opportunity. Because around that same time, streaming became more of a thing instead of
Oh,
just
for
YouTube
sure.
content. That really took off because I would say around 2017, 2018, you had like the vlogging era. So you had people on
Yes.
YouTube creating content. Then people started like, oh, I can just show you like a day in the life. And you had like the Logan Pauls, the Jake Pauls, different
Yep.
guys like that really doing vlogging, and that took off. And then it transitioned into live streaming content. So like that
Yeah.
was the next big thing. So first it was just YouTube, next it was day in the life, then it was live stream. And that just kind of took off. And it happened just to be at a place where like most people just hated games at the time. There wasn't anything cool happening in that industry. The industry was kind of not dying, quote unquote, but it just wasn't having much excitement. Then
Yeah.
a new game came out. It was a unique twist on, a battle royale, whatever you want to call it. Just right timing, right opportunity, right product market fit. Everybody liked it, blew up, and then streaming obviously blew up as well. Then you have Ninja, doing stuff with Drake and all these different guys. Just helps obviously elevate it too. So it was kind of a unique time to see how
For
everything goes,
sure.
like social media.
Yeah, went from vlogging, it jumped into streaming, and streaming turned into okay, I'm gonna stream while I'm playing the game. That way you can watch me while I'm playing. And
Yeah.
now we're back to vlogging almost in the home, like with Kai Sanat and all them. They just have people over for 24 hours and have
Mm-hmm.
700,000 views. It's
Mm-hmm.
insane, bro. Absolutely insane
Mm-hmm.
how it's evolutionized over the time we've just been watching.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy. I mean, because it transitions into any other space as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty interested right now in looking at organic content for high ticket clients, getting those in as well. So, like, right now, I've now kind of shifted focus, or my last business was like all organic. This one's probably going to be majority or heavily relied on paid ads to get clients in. But I'm really focusing also with that, like the organic side of how to leverage content, how to leverage social media in the right way to get the right person. So before, and on the YouTube stuff, again, we were doing hundreds of millions of views a month on different channels.
Yeah.
Even with that, we did like 3 billion views in 2022 alone. So with all that stuff, I learned more of like, it's not always about just going viral and getting tons of traffic and converting people. I can actually have more success getting 1,000 views in front of the right people and make way more money. There's a business set up on the back end. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like now my whole shift is getting away from just virality. Virality doesn't overly pay you that well. It's more of the business behind it that can actually make you a ton of money. Like I know tons of guys who have even like a YouTube channel, for example, they're getting in millions of views a month, right? Which one is hard to do consistently over a long period of time. So if that's what you're relying on for your income, it's kind of a scary place to be at. But yet, if they just took half the viewers they had a business on the back and like an actual solid business that helped that market, they would make 10 times the amount they're making.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of crazy how you can actually leverage it.
For sure. And with the new time of TikTok, have you noticed a lapse in attention when it comes to ads, videos, stuff like that? With TikTok, instant gratification, you're watching it, you flip out. And that's the main thing when
Mhm.
I was creating the podcast. I was like, well, how many people are going to actually listen? How many people actually sit down and listen to something with TikTok, YouTube, all these things are so quick and it grabs your
Mhm.
attention so quickly. Is it going to grab people's attention? Have you noticed more of that in the market?
It's
Do you
kind
feel like
of
you have to grab people's attention immediately?
Oh, 100%. I mean, so for example, like I like to relay everything back to YouTube because it translates into business as well. So
Hmm.
like even for example, when you have a YouTube video, I mean, everybody listening to this has gone to YouTube. Like there's no doubt. So if you go to YouTube, you'll have like a video on the homepage. What makes you decide if you want to click or not is the title and then the thumbnail. The
Yeah,
thumbnail just means like the image it shows on the video itself. That's essentially called a click-through rate. That's hooking you into the video. So naturally, if you click on that and you have a high click through rate again just means if I show it to 100 people, what percent of those people click on it? So if I
yeah,
show it to 100 people, 5 people click on it, 5% click through rate. So naturally, if you had people clicking on the video, then now you've brought them to you, brought them into your world, your ecosystem. How do you keep them there? So next thing is called retention rate. So retention rate just means like giving people what they want enough to where like they want to stay and watch, but giving them a little bit of a twist to make them want to stay longer. So like they came there to the video because they wanted to see Mr. Beast blow up like a car or a Lamborghini, whatever it is. So he shows that off in the very beginning that he's going to blow it up, but he doesn't blow it up yet because if he did, then you wouldn't watch the rest of the 20 minutes of the video and it'd be a
yeah,
waste of it. So then he draws you out longer and longer and longer and longer and keeps re-engaging you to make you stay longer. So right now we're in an attention kind of market. So the easier you can keep somebody's attention, the more money you can make from it. Again, if you had the right stuff set up on the back end. So
yeah,
same kind of thing with ads. When you're running an ad campaign, it's if you can't get people to click on your ad, it doesn't matter how good your website is, your funnel, the offer on the back end, how good you are at sales, whatever you have, all that's relevant because nobody clicked on your ad. That's the
yeah,
top of the funnel. That's what it means, the top of funnel. It just means how you're going to get people into the business. So it's the most kind of important part because if you're running ads or doing content, if you can't get people to stop on your piece of content, watch it to consume it, there's no way you can do anything from it because people are
yeah,
not even stopping
absolutely.
for it. So yeah, attention 100% is like the main thing.
And what do you think is the main attraction? What is a way people can get people to click on their ads to watch their videos? You know, the retention rate you were talking about. Is it? I mean, what is it? What is that main factor? Obviously, you only can give so much because you're in the business for it. But
I give everything out away for free
yeah,
because here's the cool thing, right? Like I'll give it a little gem for everybody. It's if you're in the business space especially, is right now everything's transitioning from information to implementation. So what I mean by that is previously people wanted to buy the information from you. So it's like, hey, I know how to do this one thing. If you want to learn how to do it, pay me to do it or
yeah,
whatever it is. And that kind of goes across multiple markets. Now it's more coming into the space of like, I just want to give everything away for free. If you want me to do it for you and you want me to have like some of the higher level stuff or one-to-one coaching, whatever it is, that's what you're going to pay me for. So that way, naturally, the people who wanted to, charge you $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 to learn this thing, I'm going to give it away for free. So I'm building massive trust with the prospect because I actually am helping them. But then they come across and they say, yeah, Josh, I watched your training, all that stuff on how to like run like a Facebook ad, whatever it is for my business. I just don't have the time to do it. Will you do it for me? They're still going to pay me. because now naturally I'm going to go do it. So I'm a huge component of just giving away all the information for free. It's not really like a problem in a business if you actually are confident that you can help people. In my
Yeah,
personal opinion, like if you can't help people, giving away your info for free is not going to help you because you don't have like a really good a good product or service on the back end.
yeah. Do you feel like a lot of people come back to you once you give that information to them? What do you think that percentage looks
100%.
like?
100%. You just have to be willing to play the long game. That's the
Yeah,
whole thing. So, like, even for example, like some advice I'd give to you is like, do this podcast, expect to have no return on it whatsoever, either views, financially, whatever it is, for like 4 years. Like, don't expect anything. If it does happen within the next 6 months, 3 months, 5 years, whatever it is, fantastic. Just don't expect it. So, like, if
yeah.
you're not expecting that return, but every single day you show up and you do it, eventually the return comes. It's kind of funny enough.
No, this is
So for
100%
me,
free, bro.
I give out the
My
game for
information
these
is free.
agents. Yeah,
That's
exactly. Like
it.
I give out the game for these agents and stuff, and then they might not pay me ever. They might not pay me for 3 months, they might pay me for 6 months, whatever it is. But I know when I hop on the phone with that prospect, they're gonna close, they're gonna be a better client because I've
Yeah,
already made the money for free.
yeah,
So for me, that's a huge component now. It's just like helping kind of as many people as possible because it will come back around to you
yeah.
for sure.
And you already gave them a product for free. Basically, you gave them a sample, waiting for them to come back for the whole bag of carrots. You know what I mean? So you're just waiting for that.
Exactly. It's kind of funny. I'm launching probably in the next 1 to 2 days, give or take. I'm gonna launch some new ads, and what my ads are actually focused around. I literally sit there and say, like, if you're a real estate agent, because again, my company's around the real estate space. Like, if you're a real estate agent and you're not getting 5 or more listings a month, essentially for those a listing, it just means a property to sell. Like,
Yeah,
you're an agent selling somebody's property, and so naturally, I'll sit there and say, like, if you're not getting 5 or more listings a month, I want to help you one on one for free. So what I'm actually doing over this next 30 days is taking on 20 agents to work one-on-one with them for 4 days straight. So I'm taking 20 agents, basically 5 per week to work one-on-one, not charging them a thing whatsoever. I'm going to literally help them on every single aspect of their business just to get them at a good spot. There's only like 3 things I'm asking them. Number one is they're just donating $20 to charity. That way they can just help somebody out. I can basically also help somebody out by having somebody donate to charity. It's just a win-win. It's $20. It's nothing expensive anyways, and they'll feel good about it. So it's just a
yeah,
good thing we do. The second thing, though, is getting them to refer 2 other agents to me. So at the end of the 4th day, if they decide that they loved everything I did with them, they enjoyed it so much, they have a lot of just like trust built up in me because I have helped them so much, I'm going to present them my paid offer and just say, hey, by the way, if you do want to work with me on a paid basis, this is what it looks like. And if you're not willing to do that, what would you be wanting it to have, or what would you want to be wanting it to look like in order to pay me instead? So that way, I'm still crafting my offer, making it better. So that way, the next 5 people I talk to the following week, the increased likelihood of them purchasing or buying anything from me is going to be very, very high because I still am giving them so much help, so much game, etc., for free. And then on top of that, now I'm crafting my offer even better. So it's kind
yeah,
of just like an ironic way that like the more you want to help out people, the easier it can actually make you money.
yeah, for sure. So it's like going to Costco and getting a free sample. You know, you buying that whole bag whenever you leave, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. If you try
Yeah,
that shit and it's good, bro, you're buying it. 100%.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
like
So,
it's kind of funny. Like it's gonna sound like really weird, but like drug dealers are actually like really good business people. Like
oh, for
really, really
sure.
good. Their
Oh, for
work
sure.
ethic is
They
there.
keep our
They know how to
economy
market
going, bro.
themselves. They're out on the block every single week. Like they're out there, and like even for example, like there was a thing I heard it was like coke dealers used to give out like little lines to like just like prospects essentially, like their leads essentially in the market. They would give them out a line, let them try it. They get hooked. They're coming back to buy.
Yeah,
So now you have like a customer for life because they enjoyed the product. They get to try it first. So it's kind of funny. It's like the same thing in like any actual business. If I can actually give you a sample, let you try what I'm going to do, and I can help you for free, and you see crazy returns, especially financial returns, you damn right they're going to pay me money for it.
yeah,
And now the cool thing is they also have the money to do it. Because say they were broke and you help
yeah,
them get some cash, you have to make 20K this month. They could probably pay 5, 10K for your service now because of the fact they have cash because you helped them make it. So they're going to go back
yeah.
to you. So it's ironic.
And let me say this for all my podcast platforms. No, we are not advocating for you to do drugs. It was just a freaking
It's
analogy.
an analogy.
I've
It's an
already gotten a
analogy.
couple taken down, so let me say that before it gets taken down at all. But
Yeah, we're
yeah,
good, bro.
no.
We're good.
If honestly, I looked up some of the things, and if there were no drug dealers and not, our economy would collapse, bro.
Yeah, probably.
Dude, our
Honestly.
economy. I learned that from Ozark. I was watching that, and I was like, "That's fucking true, bro."
Hmm.
But let me ask you this: What was there a cultural shock whenever you moved from Augusta to Houston, or was that you already got filled with that in Atlanta, or how did that go? How did that transition go for you?
I mean, no, I mean, like, so Atlanta for me, Atlanta's a funny place for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
Anybody who listens knows
yeah.
Atlanta. Atlanta's a funny. It's gotten crazy kind of right now though. But I mean, like, I've always been in kind of pretty diverse groups all my life, and so
Hmm.
even up there, like now moving into like for example, like my buddy Will, I'll even use him as a reference. I mean, he's doing think last year he did with his company like around like $20 million last year
Wow.
on his company, and he's a year older than me. I'm 24 for reference. He's 25, maybe 26 now, give or take. Though crushing it though, and even back then when I first met him around like 2018, he was like around like 19, 20 years old, whatever it was, and he was probably doing like 10, 15K a month every now and then. So like still even doing really, really well. And I was like, that's like a crazy pinnacle. So it was like a really big culture, and he's from Nicaragua. So
Yeah,
like even from there, it's just like we had a very very diverse friend group of just like people in all different industries, different variations. Like for example, he was more in the info product space, and he's from Nicaragua. The roommate was a white guy, and he was more in a actual pet category. So it's like a pet company. Then we
yeah,
had some other guys down the hall that we knew, Alex and this other guy named Drew as well. They were more in like software and like social media stuff. We had another guy who also did like some other type of course stuff. So like we had like a really diverse group of people. So for me moving to Houston, it's honestly like, in my opinion, it's honestly like Atlanta, but more money here because a
yeah.
lot of people have oil money here, and there's a lot of oil money out here.
Welcome to
So it's
Texas.
kind of it's pretty unique. Atlanta to me is one of those cities where everybody tries to show out a little too much. I mean, the main reason why is because all the rappers are there, so they go
Yeah,
out, they show out so much, that everybody wants to kind of copy the rappers. Versus Houston's like the city where everybody actually has money, and like they do show out, but they don't have to show out in like the flashy ways. They show out by
yeah,
like full like shutting down like restaurants. They shut down like the streets, everything like that. They get private police escorts and stuff like that's more of Houston, I would say.
yeah. And for Houston, especially Texas in general, I heard there's been a boom in people moving into there. Is that the reason you kind of joined into the real estate thing? Because you've seen, the market change so much?
For me, honestly, it was kind of just a whim. Like
Oh,
honestly,
okay.
like I really sat there and I was just like, what is a group of industry where people can make a lot of money, have like a lot of expendable cash, and be able to deploy it, and they're actually having a problem. And I was like, real estate agents, 100%. I mean, another one I looked at was like the fitness industry. Fitness industry is really good. So not only like people trying to lose weight or gain muscle, whatever it is, but also fitness coaches. Like a lot of fitness coaches struggle to get clients. So that's another good industry as well. So for me, I try to look at like an industry where there's a lot of people to help and to reach, and they also have the capabilities to have a good amount of excess capital to invest. Because
Yeah,
for example, if I went to a market and I'm like, I want to help high school guys, get in shape, and I'm going to coach them, whatever it is, and I'm going to charge $1,000 for it, right? Like I have a massive amount of people that would be interested in that. There's tons of high school guys, right? But they're broke. They're in high school. They don't have money. So they can't pay you. So it doesn't matter.
yeah,
So for me, it's more just like I kind of just stumbled across it, more in the sense of like I wanted to go to a space where I did some top line research, try to figure out what was in that market, and see if I could kind of off the top of my head comp anything better than what's already out in the market.
yeah,
Because if I went to a space, so for example, Alex Mosey had a company called Gym Launch that he exited. I think he sold it for
yeah,
like 40, 50 million. And so Gym Launch right now is still the best gym company out there in the market by far. So like what their model was like you paid 16K, and within 30 days they made you back bottom line bare minimum $32,000. So you made $16,000 in profit after you paid them. Like
wow,
so crazy money in your first month working with the company. So nobody's been able to like replicate that system and make it any better. So he's still dominating. So I just looked at this market and I was like, okay, what's the top offers? Like, what are the top people doing to help these type of clients? And it wasn't that good. It was either like coaching or just a marketing agency that didn't really do well. So I was like,
yeah.
okay, I'm going to really go through, hone in, and just really create a good offer.
And did you know about the big boom? Because after COVID, especially, with Texas being a no state income tax state, a lot of people moved in from California, New York, and stuff like that. Is that some of the stuff you researched as well whenever you were starting into that market?
I mean, it did, but for me, I mean, even this past month when we were running ads and stuff for it, we're targeting Canada too. Like I'm
Okay,
targeting all of US, targeting Canada. So for me, it's not really in the sense of like local markets, like the
okay,
state of Texas. It's more of just like the industry as a whole. So actually, one of the funniest things, it's kind of a blessing as well. There's a thing called the NAR lawsuit. It was just, I'm not gonna really go into detail for people listening, but essentially for it, it kind of just shook up the real estate agent world,
okay,
meaning that like as a homeowner now, or a potential home buyer, my bad, you don't really need a real estate agent to buy a house anymore. they were kind of going out the window. So because of that, a lot of agents wanted to get seller listings. And that's what my company focuses on, is helping them get more seller listings. So in turn of that, you had all these buyers who now had this massive lawsuit kind of happen in the industry where they're not really needed anymore. So they all transitioned and flooded over to my specific offer. So it kind of actually helped out a little bit. We're getting a lot of good interest from it just because there's a huge market in it now.
And did that help you out any with the clients coming in?
Yeah, I did. I mean, we're still very, very early. I mean, again, that's why I'm saying like in 2 days, we're launching that even like smaller test group of like working one to one with 20 people. Because then by the end of this next 30-day period, we probably will go full to market with an offer, assuming everything makes sense. And the last 5 people that we obviously interview and help are taking the offer at a pretty good rate.
Yeah.
If that is the case, we know we have a really good offer and now we can take it to market.
So what exactly are your goals, man? Being successful, obviously you're a humble guy. You probably don't look at it like that. You just grind away. But what are your goals? Do you want to retire early? You just want to live a good life? Like what? Why are
And
you
like, are you
grinding?
more talking about like a financial aspect?
Both life and happy, everything. Are you more looking to like retire early? Or are you just living life? Or are you just a grinder? You're just motivated. I mean, why are you grinding so hard?
It's more just things that I've wanted to do. Honestly, I enjoy. It's kind of funny enough to say think about this, but I'm a huge fan of like awards. I think awards are cool. So for
Okay.
example, like here, let me grab this one. Hold on. So for reference, right? Like this is one of the ones I wanted to get, the YouTube plaque,
Yeah.
right? For 100K. I wanted to get the plaque. So like I worked really hard, got the plaque. I was like, okay, doesn't mean much at all. Like doesn't really equate to anything financially or
Yeah.
anything whatsoever. I was like, I really want a YouTube plaque. I want to hit 100K on YouTube. I got the 100K plaque. I was like, okay, dope. One of the other plaques I want to get, there's actually 3 variations to it. Will has all 3 of them, actually, funny enough. And so what it is called ClickFunnels. So ClickFunnels is a software to build out websites. The
Yeah.
difference between a website and a funnel is designed to send a prospect or a lead or whatever you want to call it down a strategic amount of steps to get them to do the action you want them to do. So for example, say I want to collect somebody's name, email, phone number, whatever it is, so I can market them through email, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
I want to have a funnel set up to just primarily capture their name, email, phone number. So typically with like a website, if you go on whatever website, like somebody's company page, whatever it is, there's so much information there. You can go to their about section, go to their contact section, you can go to tons of different places. The whole goal of a funnel is just to have all the information they need to make that one step you want them to make. And then they go through to a next step and a next step and a next step. And so ClickFunnels gives out this award. It's called the 2 Comma Club Award. And it's once you've hit $1 million on a single funnel. So you use that one funnel to generate $1 million in revenue,
Yeah.
they'll send you out that funnel. And I was like, that thing's sick. I want to get that funnel. So that's, or not the funnel. I want to get that plaque. So like, that's kind of what I'm working towards. Not even like the liquid $1 million that it comes with when you obviously hit it, but more just in the fact of like, I want that plaque. Then the next one up from it is a 10 mil plaque. So you get this, it's a bigger award, looks crazy. It looks like a huge like album music one. It's sick as hell. And I was like, I want that to hang in the back of my office. So people know I did over 10 mil. I want that shit. And it also comes with like an iced out diamond ring too. It's kind of
Yeah.
funny. Then the next step up from there is like half the size of me, like tall. It's a massive one. And it's 25 million to $100 million. So Will has all 3 of those. So I went and saw him have like the first one. I was like, okay, that's sick. I kind of want that one. Then he got the 10 mil one. I was like, okay, that one's fucking sick. Now he has this 100 mil one. I was like, the 1 mil one doesn't even look cool anymore. So for
Yeah.
me, a lot of it is very stupid that I just want to have some success based on just having a trophy. It's kind of funny for me. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a game. The other aspect is more just getting some different things I never had as a kid. I've already had like the luxury apartments. I've already traveled a good amount. I still want to travel some more for sure. I would say the only things I never really did get was like a luxury watch. Never got anything crazy with that. And then also like a supercar. So I think those are the only 2 things I really want to like check off the list outside of like anything personal with family or anything like that, like help my mom out, stuff like that. But as far as personal stuff, kind of once I hit those things, then I'll kind of just see what I want to do. I'll definitely want to keep working for sure. I think if you have too much time on your hands, you kind of retire early. It makes life very, very boring unless you have a massive amount of consistent cash flow coming in.
Yeah.
I think like if you have like, for example, 200K a month coming in recurring every single month, you could probably retire and have a good amount of fun. But if you had like 20K a month coming in, you're going to live a pretty boring life and get pretty bored fast. Like
Yeah.
you don't realize how boring life is when you have nothing to do. It's actually not that fun.
No, I could imagine. And what is the want for the plaques? What is your mindset behind that? Why do you want plaques? What's the
Honestly, man,
thing?
it's kind of just funny. I just like I want to be able to like to walk into my office and like just look around like that's kind of cool. Like that shit looks sick. Or if I'm on like a call like this, like an interview, right? It's like they see it in the background, they're like, oh, what's that? What's that big ass plaque in the back? I'm like, oh yeah, I just did 10 mil with my company. And like, what? And it's like, yeah, it's just cool. Like again, I don't even care what the financial aspect. If I could get the
Yeah,
10 mil plaque without even having the 10 mil, fuck it. I would do it. But
yeah,
like for me, I think it's just like one of those cool things. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted the YouTube plaque. I was like, I want that OG 100K plaque. I want the million plaque. After I got the 100K plaque, I kind of didn't care to go for the million. So it just didn't
yeah.
really make sense anymore. But yeah, same kind of thing with that. I just really want just the achievement. I think it's just kind of cool. It's kind of
Just
funny to
something
me.
to look at, just to fuck
Yeah,
around
it's just something
about.
to look at, man. It's kind of cool. It's like having like a nice piece of furniture or something in the cat, like you know, in your crib. It's just like something cool to look at. Like I just want something cool to look at when I go in my office.
Yeah, so whenever you're walking through the hallway, it'd be like whenever Michael Jackson was walking through, you just have all these plaques on the wall. You'd be like, "Yeah, I did that shit."
Yeah, exactly. You just know you're him. You just know you
Yeah,
did it, and
that's
it's
it.
just it's just a self reminder every day. So like if I come into here and I'm like, okay, say for example, your company goes under, some shit happens, have a massive lawsuit, whatever it is. It's like, okay, I know I've done all this shit. I know I came from nothing, like
Yeah,
no help whatsoever, anything like that. So it's like I know I built all this shit up and I achieved all these things that I have these constant reminders in front of me. So anything that kind of happens is just like you can do it back again. Again, it's like with my current company now, like taking like a $300,000-$400,000 like salary cut, going to absolute zero and starting all over again. So it's just kind of like the game. Honestly, at this point, it's kind of fun.
is that just like, is that like for you? Is that like just going to another level? Is it just like, hey, did you get bored, or is that just something? Okay, I accomplished this. I want to try something different.
So it's not really necessarily bored, it's the market.
Yeah,
So it got more commoditized. So for example, I went from charging like 3K per retainer, you know, a little bit more than that, 3250, to then like happening to drop down to 2500, then
yeah,
like 2250, then 2K, then like dropping down slowly. So it's more being like kind of understanding like the economic in the boat that you're in. So for example, like there's this phrase that's called like you can row in a boat as hard as you want, but if you're in the wrong boat, it's not going to go anywhere. So for me, it's like okay, like I did like tons of work in that industry, got crazy results, etc. But now it's become so commoditized, and that result that I was doing for people before isn't as desirable anymore. And also too, like the economy changes. You know, if the economy is not doing too well, people don't have as much expendable cash. Even the
yeah.
guys who are at the top, so they don't want to dump some cash into things like that anymore. So it was kind of like a mix of all that. I saw, you know, the past, like when I say past couple months, the last couple months I was doing that company, I saw where it was kind of heading. And I was like, I want to go ahead and transition out of this into a new company and just start really building that up. That thing is going to be a little bit more long term for me. So that's more what I'm focusing on now.
And is there any fear or anxiety that comes with like opening that new company, or do you feel like you know the equation to get it done correctly?
I think this one's actually a bigger learning lesson because the other one I got, not gonna say like complacent. It was just very easy. I'll be
Yeah,
honest with you. Like it was stupid easy. Like I would just send out, you know, cold message to people. My offer was so good. Nobody had heard of my offer. Nobody competed with me. So I was the only person that could do that one thing. And I was great at it. So like it was very, very easy. Now I'm learning like a lot more of like the actual back end stuff behind it, business churn rate. Like how do I if I sign a client on like a monthly retainer, how do I keep them for 6 months? Then how do I make that person stay for 12 months? Like,
yeah,
how do I do those different things to just really elevate a business? Because back then I was essentially like I was a really good like solopreneur, etc. Like I guess you could say in that space. It wasn't really like a big company. Like I had some virtual assistants that helped me out, but again, 96% profit margin. It really wasn't like a company. So for this one, I want to take more of an actual business approach, understand like business behind it, how I can go into any market whatsoever and just create a good offer, scale it up, get clients, and then maybe even start going on the route of like exiting that company. Like, how does that look to sell off a company, make the profits, then transition to something else? So
yeah,
I think for me now, it's more out just like really learning business as a whole on a more traditional scale with
yeah.
social media, if that makes sense.
And so basically, what the reason you changed was because of the economy and what you were seeing in the market is what I'm getting. What you're saying?
Yeah, it's seeing the market. So, for example, like YouTube, when I first started doing my offer, YouTube didn't have much like data and tools available to people, like
Yeah,
at all. So, like, I was really good on data, so I could see like why people weren't really clicking on your content, how to improve that to then make your click through rate double or triple, which means you get like essentially 3 times the amount of viewers. And then how do we get these people to stay longer? So, YouTube would recommend the content out to more people. So, like, I was just really good at that because there was no like really good data points that an average person could go and look at, and people weren't as I guess you could say, informed about like how that stuff worked. Now, 2024, YouTube's algorithm on the inside, you can look in there, they give you tons of information about your data, your click-through rates, your view durations, the whole 9 yards. So people to an extent can just go in and like start looking at stuff and start making some changes, even if they really don't know what they're doing, and get better results. So
Yeah.
for me, that made it to where it was like, I can't charge as much because it's not as valuable anymore. And then also because that people saw my offer, so they started trying to do this exact same thing. So now you had 5 people trying to do the exact same offer, 10, then 20, then 50. The next thing you know, people are running advertisements for that same thing as well. So now I'm getting beat out by people who are running ads. And again, in retrospect, nobody really beat me out or anything whatsoever for it. But just understanding where that market is, I didn't want to be in a race to the bottom. I capitalized on the market being first, being very, very early on. So I wanted to go ahead and exit it and now move into a vehicle that can take me further for sure.
Yeah. And you've mentioned algorithms, and you talked about earlier about how you were understanding the algorithm with
Yeah.
YouTube and stuff like that. How would one even begin to understand the algorithms that are TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that?
So I would say, so for example, on Instagram, like if you're doing reels and stuff like that, you should be optimizing for shares. Shares are actually the number one thing on Instagram reels right now to get you more content. The more somebody is saving your content and the more somebody is sharing your content, the more it is to go viral. Because basically what Instagram is saying is like, okay, somebody watched this piece of content. It did really, really well. So not only did they watch the full thing, they also sent it to other people to make them watch it, which makes them stay on our app longer. So
Yeah.
we're going to reward that with more views and push out further. That's more Instagram. I don't really do anything with TikTok, to be honest, because TikTok for me isn't really a good business strategy in the back end. I think TikTok has like the lowest attention span market out there,
Oh,
and
for
they don't
sure.
really do anything with it. Like people will watch a TikTok video, I could say, hey, go buy this one product, and nobody wants to go buy it. Like, so for me as a business owner, it doesn't make sense to have that attention. That's why you had TikTokers who had 10 million followers and they tried to make their own t-shirt or their own like merch or whatever it is, try to sell it, and they couldn't push 1,000 units of it because like it just doesn't convert. So for me, I don't touch TikTok. YouTube, it's more just like studying just your click-through rates. Like how can you get people to click on your stuff more often than others? And then from that, once they click onto your video, how do you get them to stay longer and watch more of it? So for me, what it always is just like make a good, like exaggerated claim in your title, but make it one you can back up. Like if you say, I'm giving away a Lamborghini, and then people click on the video and you're not giving away a Lamborghini, that's just lying to the viewer, which means they leave the video instantly, which means YouTube says, okay, he's good at getting people to click. But once they get here, they don't like the content, so they're
Yeah.
leaving. So it's just a game of like getting people to watch and watch as long as possible for sure.
And so you mentioned also charity. So charity, are they just giving it away to any charity, or were they giving it away to one of your choice or one you were affiliated with?
Yeah, charity was kind of cool. I just wanted to have a, so for me, there's a thing called buy-in. And so whenever you're running ads to people, if people think everything is completely for free, even though I am helping them completely for free, they never had to pay me anything. The idea that they'll buy something from you afterwards, even if they enjoyed your like free stuff, is a little bit lower. It's like 20% lower,
Yeah.
just based on data and statistics that we've read through. But essentially from that, what we found is that if somebody makes a micro commitment, doesn't have to be to you, just a micro financial commitment, it gets them into a buying and investing mindset. So for me, if day one, I'm like, hey, I'm going to help you for free, I'm not going to charge you anything. And so instead of just paying me like $5 just to get them in there, I want it to be completely for free from me. I just want them to donate to charity. So they'll feel good about it. But now they've actually invested their money to do a certain product or service, and they're going to get a result from it. So essentially, from it, even though it's $20, they're paying for that to then get coached by me. They're essentially paying $20 to get coached by me,
Yeah.
essentially, is what it is. But from that, so now when I go offer them my $5, $10, $15,000 service, they're still in their back, their mind, like, okay, I paid $20 for this and got this result. If I pay 5,000, imagine the result I'm going to get as well. So it just kind of puts them in a different mindset.
Dude, that is the exact same thing I do every day, literally. So I'm not going to say the products I sell on the front end, but
Yeah.
because obviously people will listen and be like, "Oh, he's a fraud." I'm not a fraud. What it is though, whenever you're buying a car, especially a car that is 90,000 plus, I'll show
Yeah.
you something on the front end. It's only $900, right? We want to
Mm-hmm.
see if you are going to commit even a little bit to taking care of your asset, which is the car, and that gives the people in the back end a realization, okay, they want to take care of their car. So it gets them in
Mm-hmm.
that same mindset. Okay, I'm doing this. I need to take care of my wheels. I need to take care of my interior. I need to take care of my paint.
Exactly.
So it's funny how things transpire over different markets and different type of things in sales. But then again, it's
Hmm.
all the same fucking thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because like sales is actually just like the kind of main component of the business, because if you actually think about it, marketing technically is sales. Like
Yes.
all you're doing is just like mass shouting to people about what your offer and service is and piquing their interest, and you can actually sell them on a more personal level. That's
Yeah.
really all it is. And you kind of can't have one without the other. But like sales to me is it's so easy, and that's also one of the things we do in the real estate space as well, is helping agents just get over objections.
Yeah.
Like it's just you'd be mind blown like how many people, like I could go to an agent right now and they're getting like one listing a month. And if we just help them on their sales, they could be getting two listings a month, which could equate to like $100,000 extra per year for that
Yep.
person. But it's
Absolutely.
such a small minor thing to fix too.
No, a lot of people, especially in sales, don't know how to overcome the objections that first come. And obviously, that's you got to learn that over time. Being in sales myself, at first, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I got
Yeah.
out there and I'm selling myself. I'm doing this, this, and that. But you just need to find out what that prospect wants and give them what they
Hmm.
want in the best way possible. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I'm be completely honest, and anybody listening, if you're selling to someone, as long as they're getting what they want, they do not give a damn about the money they spend on it. As long as they get exactly what they want and
Yeah.
it's good for them and it's something they'll use. When it comes to price, price only matters if they're getting something they do not want or getting something they do not have.
Exactly. They're looking at it from a price perspective, not a
Yeah,
value perspective. That's the
exactly.
whole
So if
thing.
you keep somebody within an emotional standpoint, like, oh, you wanted heated massage seats, this has it. It's going to be $200 more than what you wanted to pay, but you have it. Once
Hmm.
they get into that emotional state, you won already. You haven't. You're not going to lose in that situation.
And that's what's funny, especially because like in sales transitions regardless about any industry you're in. It really does transition regardless if you're selling cars, an info product, a service, whatever it is. It really does transition. And what people tend to focus on, especially in my space, I like to really only focus on like what people do in my area. But essentially like in the info product space, like coaching space, etc., a lot of people like to sell their mechanisms. So I heard this one thing from Alex Ramosi, and it's called essentially like sell the end result, not the plane ride to get there.
Yep.
So like if, for example, if you're going to go to Maui, right? And you're trying to sell somebody on a vacation to Maui. You don't sit there and say, okay, you're going to wake up at 7 a.m. You're going to Uber to the airport. You're going to get there, wait in a 2 hour long TSA line. Then you're going to board the plane. You're going to wait. There's going to be hot. It's going to be muggy. You'll get some peanuts on the plane. Then eventually they'll serve you some lunch. You can use the bathroom, etc. Then you'll land in Maui. And that's not what you do. You sell them like, okay, when you get to Maui, it's going to have white sand beaches. They're going to have some coconuts there with some nice water, and they're going to be able to drink it and everything. Then you can go over to the bar, get a nice little, cocktail. Like you're selling them the end result of Maui, what it's going to
Absolutely.
feel like, not all the actual technical shit. So even in my space, people like to say, oh, like, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up a Facebook ad campaign for you. And then we're going to set up a retargeting campaign, and we're going to set up a website. And it's like, people don't want that. Like they just want the end result
Oh,
of
for sure.
whatever it is that they want the actual achievement to be. So they just want to make more money. Everything I talk about should be related back to money. So even if I wanted to sell the mechanisms, it's like, yeah, we're going to set up a Facebook campaign so you can drive in leads, which is going to get more purchases for you and make you more money. Does that make sense? Okay, it does make sense. So now I'm understanding, okay, this thing, whatever they said, makes me more money. This other thing makes me more money. This thing makes me more money. Or if they're like, I don't have much time. Okay, this thing we're going to do is going to save you this amount of time here. This thing's going to save you this amount of time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all you're doing is just finding out like what they want, like what is desirable to them. And everything you pitch them and sell them in your presentation, whatever it is, should be focused around their end result and tying it all back to that. That's all it
For
is. Sales
sure.
is so simple.
Another thing you have to play to is their ego. So I had this
Yeah.
guy come in. He was coming in. Him and his wife came in to buy a car for her. She was coming out of a Range Rover, wanted a new GLE 53 coupe, just something different. She was going to lease it. He comes in. He starts talking about, oh, yeah, I got this Corvette on order. It's blue. It's got this rims, this and that. I was like, why would you want a Corvette? Because I have this brand new GT 63 in blue on my storefront right now. So instead of buying
Hmm.
that Corvette, I was like, you and your wife, y'all could have matching cars, both Mercedes. You're building a brand new house. You could have this car, and y'all both have the same type of brand car. As soon as he got in the Mercedes, I didn't even need to sell the car. He cranked it up and he
Hmm.
said, "This is it." Put a deposit
Yeah.
down there. They closed on their house probably sometime next month. And they're coming to pick both of them up. So you just have to play to the person you're
Hmm.
with for sure.
Yeah. It's such a funny game. Like when it comes to
It
sales,
is
I mean,
such a
it's kind of
game, bro.
funny Actually, the thing about I kind of forgot about this. There was one job I forgot about earlier, and it's I worked at the fair. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was technically like my first sales job. Was actually working at the fair, dude. I was in the ring toss game for
Yeah.
balls. You toss it onto a ring, and you had to get
Yeah.
people, and you basically you got paid like maybe like $10 an hour, like or maybe like $8 an hour, whatever it is. But you got tips. No, I take it back. We actually didn't get a base pay. It's you would have got a base pay of like $8 an hour if you didn't meet a certain quota. That's just like the
Yeah.
minimum they would do, kind of like a restaurant. But everything was kind of based off tips. And I had the shittiest game out there by far. Like nobody wanted to play that game. So I was constantly going to people like, look, come over here. I'll give you 2 for 1. I'll give you this just to try to get commissions. And I actually had to split it with this other guy who didn't even do shit whatsoever. I was kind of pissed. So, Garrett and all them boys that we know, they made a lot more money than me. Probably made like three
Yeah.
times, but I probably made like 15 out of these sales that they actually made. So it's kind of funny
Yeah.
though.
No, man, it all equates, man. I've learned a lot in sales. I've learned that people aren't as smart as they think they are, when it comes to sales. And I've seen some terrible sales pitches where it's like, okay, I know I'm better than that, and I definitely would
Mm-hmm.
never say that. Because
Yeah.
really, all it is you're finding that you want to find the objective up front. You want to find out who they are and what they're most geared to. And if it's a
Yeah.
couple, you have to find out who's making the decisions. Most of the time, it's going to be the woman, and the man's just going to sit there and he's going to be like, "Whatever you want," and that's when that game becomes a whole lot easier, whole lot
Because
easier.
you think about it that way, it's like, okay, sell the woman on emotion, sell the man on logic.
Absolutely,
So it's
yeah,
just going through that whole part. Like the woman's gonna be more emotional, and if you can get the woman on your side, then she'll also be. It's kind of like a 2-on-1 now. Like she's also gonna be rooting for like, hey, come on, we gotta get the new GLE.
yeah,
Come on, like we can't have the
absolutely.
neighbors having a better car than us, so we gotta have the GLE. So like she's gonna start doing it as well. He's probably gonna be more looking on like the actual logical financial side. So then if you can figure out what's important to him, then you sell him on that. It's the same kind of thing. It's like if the wife like she's like, oh, I need like a white interior, I need massage seats, etc. Show her those ones. Show her how amazing it is. Like, yeah, there's only 3 on the market total that are like this right
Yeah,
now. The other 2 are $20,000 more. Like you're just selling her on that. So she's sold. She's good. Now just go talk about price of this guy. Like figure out what he's currently paying. Figure out what the appreciation is going to be right now for the new car. So his actual cost is actually lower than what his previous one is. Like just going through the whole process. So sales is also a funny game, man. It's
it
just kind
is.
of
It
a
is
little runaround.
exactly a game. It's like Pac-Man, bro. You're just going
Yeah,
around
man.
eating shit, bro. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, and you just gotta wait, eat them while they're blue, and then wait, and then hide out until when they're trying to eat. But what
Yeah,
I'm
man. Because
telling
that
you,
you can't force somebody to buy. They don't want to
no,
buy. That's the kind of
absolutely
funny
not.
thing.
No, because then you'll get that buyer's remorse, and it's a hell.
Yeah, then
It's
they're
really,
coming back, man. And
yeah,
in my game, man, that's called a chargeback. They'll just charge the car, but they'll get the product and they'll charge it back. So
yeah,
then I'm out the money. So it kind of sucks. But
exactly. No, I
yeah,
love
sales
when
is funny, man.
I love when people come in as a couple. I find it a lot easier. I found nowadays that whoever is handling the money, whether it's the man or the woman, they'll come in first. So I've had
Yeah,
multiple instances where whoever handles the finances, the wife or the husband, they'll come in first and just look, just figure out what's going on. And then after that, they'll bring their significant other in. And if you could play to the significant other, because usually they're solely based on emotion, they're solely based
yeah,
on getting what they want to get. I've had multiple instances where we're sitting down and the guy at first, tough bargain, very tough. But once you get them in love with that product, whether it's a car, whether it's the internet, whether it's a program, that other person, they'll go a little bit harder just to feel better, and we'll throw them a couple hundred, and then they're buying the car.
hmm
It's
yeah,
really
man. It's
sales is
just
not that hard, bro. It's just a lot of
it's
hours. It's
not.
just a lot of hours. It's just working.
And it's kind of funny because like one of my the biggest thing that I think is like hilarious to me, and I teach agents the exact same thing as well, is like time objections are the funniest ones to me when somebody says like I need to think about it,
Yeah,
I'll get back to you in a few days, whatever it is. Those are like the funniest because to me like they're not even a real objection, like they're
no,
just not. Like
no,
all it is like there's something there they're not they're actually concerned about. So for example, somebody's like, yeah, I'll get back to you in a couple of days if we're gonna buy that car. Like there's something there to think about. It's like, okay, can we get the loan for it? Like, dude, is my credit gonna get approved? Like,
yeah,
is that gonna go through? Should I even go up in a step up higher into this car? Can I afford this? What happens in my
yeah,
job? Like, it's lost in the next 6 months. So like, there's always something that's there, and time objections is the funniest one because it's just a cover up for something else. It's like the
yes,
really good people would be like, okay, like we'll actually figure out like what the problem is and talk them through it to actually find out what it is. The bad sales guys are gonna say, okay, like what day works best next week for me to
yeah.
call you back? And like they're not picking up that fucking phone. I'm
Nope.
not answering that fucking
That
phone
means
when
they're
they call me.
shopping.
Like it's not
If they're
happening.
and if they're shopping, that means they're not looking solely at you. The best thing I've learned is being like, okay, of course you have to think about it because I haven't given you all the information. Let me give you numbers. Let me give you some
Hmm.
financing rates. Let me give you all the incentives we have. And if you go through the entire process, and there is a process in whatever you're working, most of the time, unless you have someone who's really smart and someone who's really into accounting and makes sure they have all their I's dotted and T's crossed, most of the
Mhm.
time they'll buy whatever product you're selling.
Yeah, because even for example, it's like if you have like the wife or not the wife, let's just say you have the husband. He's trying to get that GLE right, and it's just like, oh yeah, like I'm just gonna think it over with my wife, and it's like, okay, well let me ask you a question. Do you think your wife would want a new brand new G wagon?
Exactly.
It's like, well, yeah, I think she would. And it's like, okay, like, do you think she'd like the color? Is she a big fan of white? Yeah, she is. She like massage seats, keep going back and forth. And it's like, okay, so this is what can happen then, man. It's like, let's talk it through. Let's run some numbers. And if you still don't think it makes sense for you, you can go back home and you can tell your wife, hey, I didn't buy you a brand new G Wagon today, even though I thought I was going to get it. It's the white color that you want. It's the massage seats. And it's probably me gone tomorrow because I didn't pull the trigger. But if you want to,
Absolutely.
we can go ahead and pull that trigger today. And if you don't like it, we still have the 30-day return that you can come back here. If you're not satisfied with the purchase, you can get a refund for it back.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is, you can go through and easily get somebody to buy or sell or whatever it is, anything that you want. Like it's very, very simple. You just have to make it make sense to them in whatever regard they think it makes sense. That's just the
Absolutely.
very easiest way to do it.
And that's the easiest car to sell. Easiest
Yeah.
car to sell.
I
Because
went, bro,
people,
because if people are coming in to get a G wagon, they're like looking at them, unless they're just bullshitting, they just want to go look at a G
yeah,
wagon, they're probably gonna buy it. Like they're already financially qualified. It's not a money issue anymore. It's more probably like, is this the right one, like color wise, the
yeah,
spec options they want, etc. I'm assuming that's probably what it is.
absolutely. Nobody
Yeah.
comes in looking at a G Wagon just to kick the fucking tires. This is not a used Toyota Corolla. This is a car that people, the Kardashians really set it apart because they really set that car up, especially with rappers
Mm-hmm.
too. It's more of
Mm-hmm.
just like showing off who you are. It's another emotional
Yeah.
ego thing. It's just they're buying it because they want to ride and stroll through their neighborhood and be like, "Oh, that's Mr. Williams. He drives a red fucking G wagon. It's the baddest motherfucking car in the fucking neighborhood."
Yeah, which that's the funniest thing is like once you get to like that level of financial status when it comes to sales, it's more ego based.
Yeah,
So it's
for
like
sure.
again, like the woman's still just emotional based. That one's gonna be more ego based. Because versus if you're going to a guy who's trying to buy like a truck, like there's so many different variations of trucks. Like you have some that are like 5, 10 grand that are used in pieces of shit now. Then you have the ones that are up there $150,000 for a truck. So it's a very big, broad audience when it comes to that space. So it's a little bit different sales game compared to like the high end market for sure.
Yeah, and nobody sells anything like a G wagon, so they're the
Yeah.
easiest. I mean, maybe the Defender, it kind of looks like it, but
Yeah.
people are gonna look at a G wagon, and that's the only car they're looking at if they want to buy a G wagon for sure.
Yeah, which makes the job easier. So now it's just running
Absolutely.
the exact numbers, finding the right spec that they want. That's all it
Oh,
is.
for
Which even for
sure.
example, if it's not the right spec they want, convince them on why it is. Like
Yes.
show them the packages that this one has that the other one down the street doesn't. Even
Oh,
if
for
it's
sure.
like not overly better, quote unquote. The other one down the street's a lot better, nicer. You would take it yourself. You can still sell them on this one. It's a lot easier.
What's even better is there's not one down the fucking street.
Yeah, that's the
There's
other
not
thing
one
as
down
well.
the
Like
damn
yeah,
street.
there's a very production hit limit right now for sure.
Yes, you're not going down the street and buying a G wagon. You're not. And the thing is, with
Hmm.
Mercedes, it's more of a. I don't know exactly why I want to put it, but whenever somebody sees the star
Yeah.
on the Mercedes, it's more of a a thing, a status thing. It's just you're playing to their ego again. People loves Mercedes. I mean, even people that can't afford them, they'll want one no matter what because they want a Mercedes. So it makes my
Yeah.
job a whole lot easier.
Yeah, it's kind of like my girl's mom. She has a Range Rover as well. I think that one's like 15, 2014, 2015. She got it brand new, spec'd it out. Then she went out and got an Audi Q7 as well, like the newer one, spec'd it out fully, sick as hell. And then she's been waiting to get a brand new Range Rover as well, Sport. And she's kind of just waiting to spec that one out as well. But yeah, when she comes into like the dealership, they're just already like, I just want to custom spec it. If you already
Yeah,
have one that's on the lot, it's like what I want, we'll go ahead and buy it. We're paying cash for it. If not, then like, well, I'll just go ahead and custom spec one, wait for it to come in, and we'll buy that one. And in the meantime, they might get something different. So for example, like even the Audi, she was going to, I think, look at like a Range Rover and actually had one of those on the actual on the property. And so she ended up buying that
yeah,
instead though, too, because the other one was not the right spec she wanted, didn't come in time. So she was like, I'll just go buy this one instead. So
yeah.
I think with my girl, like she's been debating on trading in her car for a Range Rover as well. So same kind of thing. It's just like we talked about going to do it, and it's just like, okay, do you actually want to do it yet? She's still kind of running through that, but the moment she does, it's all based on spec. Like we're just
Yeah.
looking for the spec, the color that we want, the massage sheets that we want, like everything whatsoever for sure.
And the best advice I could give to them, if they're jumping out of cars pretty often, never purchase, never finance, always lease. Always lease. If they're hopping
So
in and out of cars
I
like
would
that.
say that, but here's the one thing I will say back to that without giving out too much info on their
Yeah,
situation. Do you know Oasis Oil Company?
I don't, but it's an oil company, so I'm sure
Matt, like one of the
they're
largest
they're
oil
fine.
companies,
Yeah,
her dad was a founder of it. So
yeah,
like for them, money really isn't the
yeah.
issue.
I
So
got
like
you.
they're buying everything cash
No, I
regardless.
understand.
So
But anybody
yeah,
listening, if you're going to
yeah,
finance,
for
go ahead and
sure.
lease it. Especially if you're in and out of the car every 2 to 3 years, you're getting so much negative equity piled each year. Go ahead and lease. Stop being dumb. You're wasting all your money. They even have one pay leases if you pay cash now, to where you can pay
Hmm.
all the prices up front or all the payments up front with a lower rate. Just don't finance, especially not right now. Everything's like eight
Yeah.
9%. Don't fucking finance.
Yeah, car is one of the funny things because obviously the company does really well. I'm hoping next year I'll probably move into my first supercar, hopefully from
Yeah,
it. I've been looking at like 720Ss, Huracans, things like that. And so with those, it's kind of funny because even with like supercars and different cars like that, you can honestly hack cars as well. And what I mean
yeah,
by hack is more in the sense of like buying the right car with the right spec that's desirable in the market, that's like at the bottomed out part of its depreciation, and you can
yeah,
actually make money with it depending on the
yeah.
market. So like I could go get like a certain specked out Huracan tomorrow, hold it for 6 months, drive it, etc., have fun with it, and make $10,000 on top of that after I sell it back,
Well,
including all
it
the
does
payments that I
depend.
made.
Yeah, it does depend because a lot of these companies
Hmm.
now are charging over for them. I'm not sure if that's going to be
Well,
happening with the
I'm more talking
Huracan.
about used, not new. I'm
Okay,
talking about the
okay,
used market
perfect,
for it. So
perfect. Yeah,
depreciation's off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Depreciation's already been ate up pretty much. So if you do
Yeah,
get like a
because when it
Huracan
comes
or
to like
something like that,
exotics, it's hard to just get the allocations unless you've been in there for years. So
oh,
you're
for
really
sure.
not gonna
Yeah,
get the allocation. So you have to play
yeah,
on the used market, which is kind of funny because even with like Huracan stuff like that, they're the used ones from like 2020, 2021 are going above the 24s and
yeah.
stuff as well. So it's kind of funny how the market works.
No, it's crazy because like during COVID, everybody was charging so much over. So what we're seeing now is a lot of people who didn't lease and did finance are seeing so much negative equity coming into cars, and so that's kind of halting the market a little bit because they're not wanting to pay that much on the next car. So that's why I
Yep.
tell everybody lease, because then you control your destiny and what you want to do with your car. But if you're buying used, buy it from the dealer. Do not buy it
Yep.
from some second grade dealer. Don't. If you're getting a BMW, go to BMW. If you're going to Mercedes, go to Mercedes. Get a certified car. That way, you're not dealing with all the BS that comes with it. Get it certified.
Yeah.
That way, you don't have to deal with all the BS. Because these cars, I mean, if you have to come into the shop, you're going to spend $600 plus, maybe up to $1,500 just to get oil change, brakes, tires, anything like that. So it's not
Yeah,
cheap.
they're gonna tax you for it, man. And
Yeah,
that's especially like if you're gonna invest in like a nicer car for sure, you might as well do it the right way. It's like for me, it's like what like I could go to a 720S McLaren for 110,000 if I find the salvage title. It's like why would
yeah,
I want a salvage title though? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's like you can do that if you want, but you're just gambling with your money at that
yeah.
point
You're
though too. So it
gambling
makes
because
more sense to go certified for sure. Make sure it's through the dealer, make sure everything's good, and obviously buy from
oh,
him.
for sure, yeah. Especially a car like that. If you get it from a second grade dealer, bro, you don't know
Good
what they
luck.
did to it. You don't know
Good
what they
luck.
did to it. It's a terrible idea. People do it all the
Yeah.
time. They'll go to these buy here, pay here places, and I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah,
Why
it doesn't
would you
make
do
sense.
that? You'll get a higher
You
rate.
gotta have
You'll
the people who are gullible, man. Gullible pays. You know what I mean? So like it's like for example, like people sometimes don't realize that not every deal is going to be a good deal, even when it's
yeah,
advertised as a good deal.
yeah.
It's like if you had somebody sit there and they say, "Hey, I'm going to give you a brand new, 2024 Ferrari SF90, $600,000 car," and you're like, "Yeah, I'm only going to charge you $10,000 for it." That's a good deal, but
But
something's wrong
why?
with that
But
deal.
why?
But yeah,
Yeah.
why is it that price? Something's wrong with that fucking deal.
Read the
So
fine
naturally,
print,
for it,
brother.
you gotta have some common sense. And for
Yeah.
me, I think it's kind of funny. Not that people should get scammed, but you gotta have those people in society. So hopefully, one they'll learn. But also, two, man, it's just part of the game. Like people are gonna get screwed over. It's just naturally what's gonna happen in any market, not like dealerships or anything like that, but just in any market. But you gotta have those people who are gullible, man, because then it shows you as a learning lesson, don't be so gullible. Don't just like listen to stuff you see online and just go do it, man. So it's kind of funny though how even like with stuff like that, it still can help out other people if you pay attention to it.
Yeah, I didn't realize until I got in sales how dumb people are. I did not realize how dumb people are until I got in sales. This really
It
insane.
it's really funny to me because even the real estate agent space, real estate agents are one of the most egotistical people that are broke. I'll be completely honest. And the reason why is because they're showing up to these $500,000, $5 million homes and selling them. And sometimes they're getting some like big commission checks from it. You might have like a a $50,000, $100,000 commission check off one single property alone, right? But then they might go a year without another property sold. So you really only made 100K that year, but you got it all in one check.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny though, like they have some of the biggest egos I have ever seen by far. Like you'll have an agent who's making $4,000 a month, having the biggest ego, like they're pulling it at $4 million a month. And it's like, dude, like your ego is the thing that's killing you. So
Yeah.
not only just in like a sales aspect when you're talking to prospects, but also as like a salesperson. Even if you're a salesperson, have a massive ego, it can kill you by far.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt, bro. Listen, I've seen it. I've seen the dumb customers. I've seen the big egos in sales. It's insane. It's insane. And people don't want to work. People don't want to grind. They just want it up front. So
Yeah.
that's probably why you're seeing people who will get that big house and get that big commission check and then take off.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is, bro. Listen,
They're
I
never
want to
back.
let you know we're at 100 or an hour and 10 minutes, bro. I appreciate having you on. I know
Of course, bro.
it's been hard trying to get you on. We're both busy people, so obviously the scheduling
For
didn't work
sure.
out. But I do appreciate you coming on. What I always have my people who are my guests who are on is give some type of advice or some type of good vibes to those people out there listening. So what do you got for us today?
Okay, so I would say, honestly, anybody listening, if you want to start a business at least, I like to just again speak on things that I do.
Yeah,
Try not to speak on things I don't do. If you want to start a business, go into it with the idea of helping the actual person, not making you money.
yeah,
Making money will come as a result of helping a lot of people. Like if I go through and I can help 10 people make $1 million, do you think they'll give me 10% of that for helping them make $1 million? Probably. So I made $1 million myself for helping 10 people make 1 million. So naturally, for if you want to start a business, just go into a space and go into it with the idea of helping as many people as you can as possible, and they're going to reward you for it.
yeah,
Naturally, it's going to how it's happened. So that's kind of like the biggest advice I would say. Second biggest advice would probably just be don't expect to get a result quick. Like, even for example, all the skills that I have built over the years, even since I was like 12 years old, has all helped me get to where I am today. And then also helping me start the second company as well. So, like, you don't really realize where you're at and how things are affecting you until you actually arrive at your destination, if that makes sense. So, for
yeah,
example, if you're wanting to scale a company up to $1 million a year, you won't know if something was actually a setback for you or something that's going to help you in the future until you hit that end goal of whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So for me, a lot of times, you might look at a situation, you're like, oh, I can't believe this didn't happen with me. I can't believe this deal didn't go through. I really needed it to go through. I really needed this thing to happen, whatever it is. But in reality, a year later, you're like, wow, I'm really glad that didn't go through because this helped me figure out this situation, helped me understand this. I got better at this, and that made me more money. It's like
yeah,
my first test round. If I just happen to do really well and my test round went pretty good, probably 6 months from now, my offer would be a little bit stale. And I'd be wondering why my business isn't doing well. I just had crazy good months and now it's stagnant versus I realized my offer needed to be even better. So now I'm
yeah.
going back and fixing it. So long-term is going to benefit me. So you kind of have to look at everything with like a grain of salt for sure.
Absolutely. Listen, bro, I appreciate having you on. You're killing it. You're grinding. I'm happy to see you
Appreciate
doing
it,
what you're
brother.
doing, brother. Hoping to have you on again one day.
For sure.
Um,
We can do it soon for sure.
absolutely, bro, and keep at it. Listen, I'm so
You too,
proud.
man. You too,
I'm
for
so
sure.
proud of being able to see people who I grew up with doing so good. So keep at it, bro. I appreciate having you on.
For
Stay
sure,
real,
brother.
bro.
You too, man.
Take it easy, dog.
For sure, brother.
This podcast is sponsored by W Energy. Whether you just need some energy for the day or if you need to get through the gym, W Energy, use promo code TheJYE, the J Youngblood Experience to get 10% off the entire site.